Okay, I'm back. Now, Genesis chapter 4. This is where it starts up even more. So, okay, I talked about this a lot, so I'll talk about that too. Okay, now Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain and said, I have acquired a man from the Lord. Then she bore again, this time his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Now we have this contrast again, and don't think of it in a way of gardeners, but in the way of the fig leaves versus the sacrifice. Okay? He dealt with the vegetation, Cain. Abel dealt with the sheep, the animals. So hold on to that. Okay, and in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering. Here we go, an offering of the fruit of the ground to the Lord. So this symbolizes the work of his own hands. Works. That's what he's bringing for his offering. Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. Okay, so he brings the animal sacrifice. Okay. And the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. Okay, that's why we're saved by grace and not by works. We're saved by the sacrificial offering, the atonement, not by the works of our own hands. This is why. So, and Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. So now, this is the difference between true religion and false religion. This whole thing starts up, and it goes on. So, the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry, and why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? So in other words, well, you know what to do to fix it. Like you can just do that and everything will be fine. You'll be accepted. And not, if not, then not. That's his own fault, right? So, and if you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it. So, like now, his anger is causing him to be tempted to sin, and he needs to be an overcomer over that, basically. All right, now Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and killed him. So here we have the first murder. And why? Out of envy. So what does that sound like? What's familiar there, right? This is where false religion starts to persecute true religion. This is where it all comes in. And the thread runs all throughout human history, past the crucifixion, the church martyrs, all of it, all the way up until now, and it's not done until the millennium starts. Okay. Then the Lord said to Cain, where is Abel your brother? He said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? So they all knew, but all right. And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you, a fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth. So now he gets cursed in particular. There are several things here. Okay, when this happens, there's a murder that literally the blood goes into the ground. Let's say in this case it did, but it runs out and it curses that place because it was a murder. Okay, it cries out to God from the ground. Okay, so, and it puts a curse on the person who committed the murder. I mean, that's literally how this works. This is why when there's land, there's been a lot of bloodshed. It's literally cursed. And this is what happened in the land of Canaan. There was a lot of sacrifice of people going on, and it was cursed ground. And, what is necessary to cleanse it, according to the Bible, is fire. And they had that judgment and destruction coming in, and, they took over and all that. But there are things to talk about this, like the cleansing of the land and purification rituals. That this is why in the end times there's a fire. Okay, it's consumed by fire. So it's cleansed before the millennium. But this is real. Okay, there's something, demons love blood. Okay, they can't literally like partake of it, but they like it's just what they spiritually feast on. That's why when people make sacrifices to the devil to get what they want, it involves shedding of innocent blood. So there are all kinds of spiritual principles here at work, and that's why they'll come and they'll give them what they want. All the kingdoms of the earth, fame, fortune, power, whatever it might be, that's how it works. There are all kinds of spiritual principles at work here. And yeah, so fire cleanses the land in that way. And I'm not saying there aren't other ways, but that's one way. So that's just why, seriously, like there are places where if there are a lot of people or people were murdered, it has a weird feeling, and this is why. Okay, and if you're a spiritually perceptive person like me, you pick up on this stuff. Like there's just something weird over there, But this is what's happening. It's a real thing. Anyway, okay, so moving on. And Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Surely you have driven me out this day from the face of the ground. I shall be hidden from your face. I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond on the earth. And it will happen that anyone who finds me will kill me. I'd be like, okay, no. All right. And the Lord said to him, therefore, whoever kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark on Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him. So he had some mercy on him. So, okay, but then this thing about a mark, that's all it says. And you get cults that will claim that this is where a certain race of people came from and all this nonsense. It's like there's nothing in here that says anything of the sort. And that's another kind of heresy that that will creep in, that's unfounded completely, and that's it. Okay, this is all it says. That's all we can say. Nothing else. But anyway, now, so then Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. So he was cast out from God's presence over this. That's the kind of sin that will separate you from God. I mean, sin will in general, but this is a serious sin. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. And this is a different Enoch than the one that comes up later. And he built a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begot Mehujael, and Mehujael begot Methushael. Yeah, and Methushael begot Lamech. Then Lamech took for himself 2 wives. The name of one was Ada, and the name of the second was Zillah. And Ada bore Jabal. He was the father of those who dwell in tents and have livestock. His brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all those who play the harp and flute. So, like, the musical instruments came from there. And as for Zillah, she also bore Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every craftsman in bronze and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Okay. Then Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice. Wives of Lamech, listen to my speech. For I have killed a man for wounding me, even a young man for hurting me. If Cain shall be avenged 7-fold, then Lamech 77-fold. So see how they were already trying to twist justice here? Okay, now, and Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son and named him Seth, for God had appointed another seed. Has appointed another seed for me instead of Abel, whom Cain killed. And as for Seth, to him also a son was born, and he named him Enosh. Then men began to call on the name of the Lord. Okay, and somebody said that was translated in a different way and it meant something else, but I'm not sure. I would like to think that they started repenting. Okay, so now the family of Adam. Okay, I know this part gets a little, tedious, but it will get better, and I have a very interesting thing to share that's hidden in here before we get to Noah. All right, this is the book, so 5. This is the book of the genealogy of Adam. In the day that God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female, and blessed them and called them mankind in the day they were created. And Adam lived 130 years. And begot a son in his own likeness after his image, and named him Seth. After he begot Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years, and he had sons and daughters. So all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. Okay, so we see he died, that's what was going to happen. But he lived 930 years. Okay, now, Seth lived 105 years and begot Enosh. After he begot Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Enosh lived 90 years and begot Canaan. After he begot Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. Oh, and I should mention this too, like from what happened in chapter 3, Adam and Eve's fall, that's the original sin. That's what's called original sin. That's where sin came in. And we all inherit that from there. So that's why we're all born with a sin nature. Okay, that's why we all need redemption. So that's where that comes in that way. All right, so that's that doctrine. Okay, not that I forget that. All right, Canaan lived 70 years and begot Mahalalel. After he begot Mahalalel, Canaan lived 840 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. Mahalalel lived 65 years and begot Jared. After he begot Jared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. Jared lived 162 years and begot Enoch. After he begot Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Now, Enoch, this Enoch, okay? Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. After he begot Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Okay, now I want to say a few things about Enoch. For one thing, they tried to turn this into a type of the rapture because it's before Noah, but it doesn't work out because he lived so much longer before this whole thing happened that it just wouldn't work as a type. It's too much of a stretch, and it just time-wise it wouldn't fit. So that's all I'll say. There are details, but I will just leave it at that. Another thing about Enoch is, there's all this hype now about this thing called the Book of Enoch, and there's absolutely nothing in the Bible that supports this book. Nothing, okay? In fact, there are even things in this book that are contrary to the Bible, and it's just a whole lot of strangeness. And people really get just on a rabbit trail with that. So I just want to put this warning out there. The only place in the New Testament, the only place he's mentioned after this is in the book of Jude. He's mentioned by Jude. And all it has is he quotes him one quote that was from Enoch. That's it. That's all we have, okay? There's no way to say this endorses this whole book, all right? It's just the link is not there, and that's it. So just to put that out there, people get on all these tangents now, and they get too far out on all these heretical rabbit trails, and it's a very dangerous thing. But we're living in the days when, the Bible says they'll follow doctrines of demons. They'll be seduced by seducing spirits, all of this stuff. And they don't listen. They just do what they want. So, all I can do is warn. That's it. Okay, Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. This is also a different Lamech. After he begot Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And I think this was the longest one then. They were saying that. Lamech lived 182 years and had a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, "This one will comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands because of the ground which the Lord has cursed." Noah means rest. So, and comfort is what it means. So, this is another thing, you have the curse on the earth with all the toil of tilling and, all that. And he will give them rest. So it's like, who gives us rest from the curse? It's Jesus. So, in this sense, he's a type of Christ as in this way. But there's much more coming. Okay, after he begot Noah, Lamech lived 595 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. So that's an interesting number. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, before I go on with this, I'm going to show you that interesting thing I was talking about. Over here, we have in their names in this line, okay, which is actually the line of Christ. Well, it's pretty much the line of everyone now because Noah was the only one who survived the flood. So, but we have hidden in this the gospel. What? Yep. Let me show you this. Okay, I'm going to use this little thing and cover this up and move it down as I go. So okay, I got to make this smaller. Maybe I'll put it back on 1. That's perfect. Okay, now Adam, the name Adam means man. Okay, man. Now, he had Seth, which means appointed. Remember, Eve said, he's appointed me another son to replace Abel. So, appointed. Enosh means mortal. Okay. His son was Canaan, which means sorrow. It might have been Canaan. They spelled it in a funny way in here. Anyway, Mahalalel, Canaan means sorrow. Okay, Mahalalel, the blessed God. Jared shall come down. Enoch, teaching. Methuselah, his death shall bring. No, Lamech, the despairing, like people who despair. Noah, rest or comfort. So if you read this in a line, you get a sentence. Man appointed mortal sorrow. You could say, but, comma, whatever. The blessed God shall come down. Who's coming down? Oh, the blessed God. So the blessed God shall come down, teaching, I would say, comma, his death shall bring the despairing rest or the comfort, which would be to us, right? So there it all is. Here, man has brought sin, and God brings redemption through his death by coming down and doing this. It's right there, the whole gospel, just in this string of their names, the meaning of their names. I think that's so neat. Okay, so I will do the next video now.